What's up guys? Welcome back. I have not been this excited to play with a new item of makeup in a really long time. Today we are going to be diving into the HINDASH Beautopsy palette. So I have it right here and I have had it for a minute. Everybody already has their reviews out on it and everything, but I did not want to get on camera and be like fumbling through this and not understanding the intention behind the palette itself. So this is what it looks like. I've had a chance to play it a little bit, as you can see, you know, it's been touched, but prior to this being released and you guys bringing it to my attention, I admit I did not know who HINDASH was. And I wanted to go watch his channel, at least watch a few of the tutorials that he did with this palette, watch his release video and have him explain to me what the thought process was behind it and everything. And, you know, I had my expectations going into that, but he blew me away. I love that I can be on this platform for as long as I have been, and sure, I could look at it from the standpoint of why has the algorithm never served me his videos before, because they're wonderful, but on the other side of that, I can, you know, try and see the silver lining that I can always be surprised, and I was so pleasantly surprised by this, you know, creator with over 1 million subscribers that I had never heard of. So HINDASH is a makeup artist from Dubai. I was like the UAE, from Dubai. He grew up in Dubai and he is easy on the eyes. I mean, you just kind of, it's like the first thing you notice about him, but his warmth is so lovely. And him talking about his passion behind this is so wonderful. And the reason I think a lot of you guys thought of me when he came out with this and why you decided to kind of tag me in the posts and stuff was because he has a formal artist training. Like he was a painter before he was a makeup artist. And so he actually made his like senior thesis and everything about makeup. But I guess what I'm trying to say is he talks how I think. And for that reason, yes, I have had the chance to play a couple of times in this palette, but now that I have really seen what he does with it, I am so excited to use it on my whole face and just play today. You guys hear me sometimes say that I'm going into painter mode, and sometimes that means I just go into like flow mode and I start to think of just like temperatures and forget about what the actual like item I'm using is intended for, and I just put it where I think it goes based on the color that it is and the tone that it is and what I want to achieve. And that I feel like is the complete intention behind this palette. So he has made these very apparently difficult to engineer colorways that fade one to the next, and they are all different in their opacity and they're meant to be used all over the whole face. So I'm sure that you have seen this, but if you haven't, you know, we have tan lines that goes from tan to white. We have this wet paint which goes from sort of a warmer peach to a banana yellow. Boy Wonder is, I love his mentality behind this. He wanted the most pink and vibrant and maybe feminine shade to have a boy name. So Boy Wonder is like a peach to pink. Feel Real is a brown to cement gray. Love Kills is a like bright kind of apricot that he said you can mix and make kind of a tangerine with if you want to lighten it up, to this really, really beautiful like coral red. And then Intrafatum, which is a deep brown, like a chocolate brown to a black. So all of this lends itself in my mind to, you know, pulling it out and like color mixing to get what you want, which is a different mindset a lot of times than we usually talk about with an eyeshadow palette. And I am excited to go outside of the typical mindset for, you know, opening up a product and putting it on my face, opening up a product, putting it on my face kind of thing, and using it like taking that color at face value, so to speak, and instead thinking of what I want to achieve and mixing to get there and putting it everywhere on my face. So I'm gonna move y'all in. That was a long intro, but I really feel the passion coming through this from its conceptualization, and I'm excited to try his way of approaching it with you guys, you know, along for the ride. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, we have the 360 Eye Lift 360 Waterproof Eye Primer from Thrive, and you want to use just a tiny bit of this. A little goes a long way because it's very sticky. As I mentioned, this is a very different setup for a palette. He put it in cardboard because he said that he is clumsy and that cardboard can take a fall a lot better than plastic can. And it is a cardboard that has this really nice kind of paper coating on the outside of it that feels very luxurious. So it doesn't immediately strike you as cardboard when you're interacting with it. It's also very like slim, and I feel like he made excellent use of the space in the palette. You have this big luxurious mirror that's actually very usable, you know, if you don't put your fingers all over it like I do. And then these colors, like since there's no delineations or fewer delineations between the pans, you end up with a lot more product for a very like low profile package. So I'm gonna really paint. And I'm gonna start with my eyes, but if I start to feel like this is going outside my eyes, we might just like go in and do my foundation and then come back in, because I want to be able to kind of address my face all at once. But I just wanted to cut to the chase here. Starting with a big brush here, I'm going to go into the in-between here, between tan lines, and just, yeah, that white really packs a punch. He says as long as you prime, you can really pack them on. But also, for me needing to back myself out of trouble, it's nice to have a color like that to lean on because my skin is almost the color white. He also said that it was very important to him to think of the regular everyday beauty consumer before he thought of a makeup artist, because let's be real, I'm practically quoting him, a makeup artist can make anything look good, which is why in a lot of cases I feel like, this is my personal opinion, is that, you know, the beauty industry on YouTube got a pretty bad rap in the beginning because there were a lot of brands that took off because they were being sold by people who had a ton of really great training and experience, and when those formulas got into the hands of the average makeup consumer, they just didn't work the way that they thought they were going to, because the average makeup consumer doesn't have all of that training. So, you know, granted, Jaclyn Hill has done more wrong than that. And I'm not here to like enumerate all of those things. I don't think she's a bad person, but you know, I think that a lot of the bad rap that she got about, you know, marketing Morphe and stuff like that had to do with the fact that she was able to make that look good. Nikki Tutorials was able to make that look good. James Charles was able to make that look good, and those formulas were pretty disappointing. The subtlety of these shades is wonderful. That's kind of what I was getting at, quoting him, talking about thinking of the everyday beauty consumer first, is because these are not intimidatingly saturated. You can continue building them. They are pressed pigments and there is very little, if any, fallout. He says there's no fallout and I haven't seen any fallout, but the idea being that anybody who needs to get that full saturation can, but for somebody like me, who I consider my makeup skills intermediate at best, and someone who's also very, very fair skinned, can get very easy use out of this, and I can go into painter mode and not have to think too hard. So what I'm really doing here is dipping into those shades, and I'm actually gonna dip into Feel and Real, which, you know, is going to make a cooler toned brown, and use that to deepen my socket here. And you can see just that little difference of mixing it with the gray instead of mixing it with the lighter brown, you know, makes a completely different color. Now, I am wearing like a camel sweater, and it might lead you to believe that what's going to happen here is that I'm going to do just a really nice neutral look. And I could, but I want to get a little bit more adventurous than that. So I think what I'm going to do is, you know, show what this is capable of in terms of an everyday wearable like matte eye look here, and not do my mascara yet or anything. And then I'm gonna go in with my Complexion products really quickly. I'll probably just, you know, do a zoom through or whatever. And then I want to work on my face as if my face and my eyes are not separate things, you know, just paint. And use some of this, like the pink and everything like that, and kind of blend my eyes into my cheeks and stuff like that and see how it goes. So what did I just dip into? In between tan and lines, because it's this really beautiful white shade that is achieved. And this is something very similar to what he did in his cool toned video. He drew, you know, a lot of nice cool brown out here, and then he actually used the very, very saturated version of Real, which is this cement gray, and he used that right on the inner corner. He called it like a halo eye, but instead of doing the same color on both sides, he did the other side of the halo with the gray. Very, very pretty. So, you know, if you want a look like that, he did do that. It's very cool to look at. But now that you can kind of see, you know, what there is to be achieved, and he, you know, this is a very good little way of isolating the eyelid and everything, and I still want to maintain that when I do start going in with some different colors, but you know, I wanted to show that like that's a nice mindless way of putting this on that is very applicable to most people's everyday way of wearing makeup, that you can pretty much just adjust as you go, do some nice like little washes of color here and there, and mix and match to what you want as you're working. So let's go in with my complexion and everything. I'm going to not talk, I'm just gonna zoom through. I'll let you guys know how it goes. And then I'm going to get a little bit, just a little bit more adventurous. I'm gonna try and keep it wearable, but I really wanna play. I really wanna get into it. So I've only done now my complexion and a little bit of bronzer. And for my complexion, I used Pat McGrath's Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation in the shade L2. And I am very pleasantly surprised, if you can hear that, at how thin this is. And it goes on the skin really thinly. Again, just an unexpected, beautiful surprise from Miss Pat McGrath. So I'm going to just take a brush here and start playing. I don't really know if I'm even gonna talk. I don't wanna make myself sound like some kind of like, oh, I'm you know, an eccentric artist, but it's like, I kinda just wanna concentrate. So while I don't think that I've reached the outer limits of this palette, I do think that if I keep putting more on, I'm just going to end up with more saturation, not necessarily more variation. Now, a couple of limitations as I'm working through this. One, this is entirely matte. I don't think that that's a secret. Now, typically it would be easy to blend if you have things that have satin textures to them, and if you have trouble blending a matte, you can always kind of mix in a little bit of a satin. But to put out an entirely matte palette of pressed pigments that blend this well, that is an accomplishment in and of itself, Mr. Hindash. The other limitation is just, if you color mix, just remembering what you did from side to side of your face. That is why I couldn't talk and do it at the same time, because you have to be like, a dabby dabby, ha ha ha. And they have to go, a dabby dabby there, ha ha ha. Otherwise, like, you might lose your way. So that, or like load your brush up. But I mean, I would never do like one eye and then try and mimic it on the other eye the way that some makeup artists do. My memory for the hopscotch of it all just doesn't, it would never hold up to that. So I love this, I do. And I could be totally done, but I want to just, you know, add a little more dimension with some of my other products and add some texture differences in here. So let's see. I have my Coral Rose blush palette from Wayne Gossier that I lean on far more than I ever expected to, because it is just a really, really sheer formula. And so it does a good job of putting some, you know, really nice flattering color down and spreading out nicely without ever putting too much on. And I want to add some texture to this eye look, and I think that that is going to come in the way of what? Glitter. Temper from Auric might do the trick. This is a very subtle celestial. And it's a little peachier, which might help it go with my skin a little bit better, because right now, not that I don't like that saturated pink, I did it on purpose, but it might make it just blend a little bit more, look a little bit more at home. And I will also use a little bit of my Brilliant Eye Brighteners from Thrive on my inner corner. That's actually, I'm really digging this. I'm imagining it, oopsies, I'm imagining it with mascara and eyeliner and everything on, and I'm liking what I'm imagining. Estrella today, I think. Because that is such a white that's in that palette. I want to kind of stay true to that. I did have a little bit of trouble getting the white to pay off as much as I thought that it was going to. But it also just might be that I am already that color. It's entirely possible. Cute. All right, hold please. I'm going to do my eyeliner and everything. I'm gonna do it the way that I always do it, because, well, this is already a little off my beaten path. I think I need more blush, because of course I do. And since this eye look is peachy, it's easy for me to then go to my Aether palette, which is also peachy. And if you're like, why don't you just go back into his palette and pull a peachy mixed tone? The thing that's a little bit disarming about this palette is actually how desaturated the shades are. And so you actually would be there all day trying to get a really, really saturated blush tone. I did, however, get my brow gel everywhere. And then we'll just do a little bit of lip real quick. Something simple. In fact, I loved the way that that Mochi Mochi shade looked on camera. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be the week of Mochi Mochi. And it makes my lips look really big. And if you didn't watch that video where I experienced this, which was the Nabla video, I realized that this adds a whole nother list of shades to that funky formula-ish. You know, that liquid lip balm formula that I just love. This is kind of like that. My brows, I think I used the really dark one. I did. I grabbed the dark brown from Kosas. I need to put this somewhere else because they sent me both, and I meant to use this one. This is the medium chocolate brown. I wonder if I can just Eco Tools to the rescue. Come on, buddy. That's why they look so crazy. Okay, so I don't know when my camera cut off, but I was just doing a couple of little finishing touches. This is the vibe, and my face, my cheeks, my mouth, what? Everything other than my eyes is like a pretty like neutral to peach sort of situation, and I think it makes the eyes kind of glow in a neon pink way, and I'm into it. Kind of inspired by this little guy inadvertently. I'm gonna go onto HINDASH's website and see if there's anything that I failed to mention. It's $70, by the way. I mean, this is definitely a, you know, high-end price point for a high-end product. Beautopsy. And Beautopsy was also the name of his senior thesis exhibition when he graduated from art school. And so I love that kind of the idea of dissecting beauty, essentially. Beautopsy is a 6-pan, 12-shade pressed pigment gradient palette with a 24 color payoff. The type is really, really big. That's why I can read it comfortably without my glasses. An internal beauty intervention. Beautopsy is a multi-use pressed pigment palette that can be used on the eyes and face. Create the ultimate look by swirling your brush along the gradient pans to customize your perfect shade. Sweep along eyes, cheeks, brows, highlights, and contours of the face. You are the artist of your masterpiece. Oh, wow, they do a really good job on the website. This is cool. So when you hover over each of the shades, it actually like shows them like gradiented into each other on skin. Cool. Absolutely, like I have goosebumps. That's so cool. I think that he really, like there's a lot of courage in doing something this subtle. I think I've talked about that with other brands too, because I think that we all get our, magpie eyes drawn to things that are shiny and sparkly, and to have something like this that is so inspired by his artistry and the way that not just the colors, but also the formulas are not immediately like neon punchy on the skin, that can be they really inspire you to create. And that's what he says. He opens his palette, he gets excited to create. It inspires him every time. I think that that's courageous, because we are so instant gratification oriented in the beauty industry right now. And there's something about this that makes you have to slow down. I really, really appreciate that. I have been in a process in my own life lately of consciously slowing down and appreciating non-efficiency. Not inefficiency, but like, well, maybe inefficiency. Appreciating noticing things, appreciating staring at something for a while until it kind of looks unfamiliar to you. And there is something really meditative about this palette that makes you think about putting your makeup on differently. It makes you think about what you're trying to achieve instead of letting the makeup tell you what it's supposed to look like. For some people, that's going to be a little intimidating, but I would encourage you to lower the stakes of it needing to be perfect the first time and try and play and possibly make mistakes. But what I really like about this is that it's not like a lot of the artistry palettes that come out from makeup artists, in the sense that, again, I think it's the third time I'm saying it, he really thought of the regular everyday makeup user first before he thought of a makeup artist. And so the other thing is just how subtle the pigmentation is. Yes, I was able to bring it up to this really beautiful, I think, like neon saturation of wonder right here with the use of Kills right here, and just like really, really like punching that up and getting like almost a surreal kind of, bright pink out of it. But it took some work to get there. And it was, I had to kind of make several decisions to get there. It was not like I stamped it on and went, well, no going back now. And for that reason, I think that the beginner would actually really appreciate this, especially because it starts to make you think more differently about makeup, that like, you might have an even fresher eye if you are a makeup beginner than someone who's been working in a bunch of different palettes, that like this could be the way that you think already. And if you actually like take, maybe this, not even the pink, if you just take the red out, this palette wants to make unlimited neutral eye looks on you. Not just neutral, I mean, there's warm shades in here. I guess I'm just saying like skin tone, skin enhancing, contour, play with light and shadow type looks. It is not a first and foremost local color artistry palette in that sense, where it's like, guess what? This is all green centric and you're gonna do green golds and this is going to be something that catches the eye, and oh my gosh, I know exactly what that palette is looking at it because that color doesn't exist anywhere else. This is more about making something different every time you use it. And I think that that is the challenge with a lot of eyeshadow palettes, is that we end up kind of banging into like 3 colors every single time because we're like, well, I bought this palette, but like these are the ones that work the best for me. Why would I do anything else? But there's something about this where It's like that YSL little color mixer thing where they just went around their elbow to get to their thumb. Making an app that will analyze the color of your outfit and mix you the perfect nude or the perfect red or whatever to match your outfit that day instead of matching your skin. Okay, YSL, I don't need the red to match my outfit. I need it to match my skin. This, it comes at it in a completely analog way of saying, why don't we give you the tools to create the look that you're going for in teeny tiny incremental decisions, and then you can adjust as you go to achieve the look that you're going for that matches your skin, what you're wearing, what you're trying to do that day, whatever. And you know, then you can editorialize with some glitter and stuff like that to make it your own. But there is something just so respectful to your face about this palette. It says there is absolutely nothing that we need to tell anybody that, you know, like enters the room before you. It's all about enhancing what's already there. And for that reason, I find this approach to be incredibly innovative, and also he nailed the subtleties. He nailed the fact that this could have completely crashed and burned if all of these shades were too saturated to use. I feel like if he had tried to go for gimmick one, it would have blown it. But this is a gimmick-free palette, and it's a brave thing to do right now in the industry. So I am super glad that I have this. As far as a basics palette, I don't want to say this is how I think, but this is how I'm starting to think. This is how I wish I thought. I always talk about this. I'm so glad when I can give my money to a company that's done something that I feel like I am buying their expertise. I'm buying his experience, and we have similar taste in what we would want. I mean, obviously, if this isn't your taste, it isn't your taste. If you think that a liquid blue glitter is easier than playing with light and shadow on your eyes, then this is not the palette for you. But I really, really like this setup. It surprises me in a really pleasant way. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and you will definitely be seeing more of this in the future. And I'm definitely like gonna keep watching his videos because there's just so much to learn outside of his palette. He has a beautiful touch. The way that he goes in with little brushes and everything, and his vision, his eye, his attention to detail as far as like prepping the skin and really like, you know, it's a painterly mindset. I respect the crap out of it, and I have a lot to learn from him. Like watching him feels like I'm watching an episode of Masterclass, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna stop gushing, but I really, really enjoy this palette. And again, it feels like a really mature and intelligent approach to makeup. So if you guys found this valuable, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.